The historic Hejaz Railway train is preparing to chug back into service again. More than a century after it first carried pilgrims and traders across deserts, vast plains and mountains stretching from Damascus to Medina, the Hejaz Railway is set to come back to life. Turkey, Syria and Jordan have pledged to restore and modernize the line, with project officials and experts pointing out the promise of economic revival and regional reconciliation. It will also allow pilgrims to travel to the holy cities for Hajj and Umrah on the same spiritual journey, just like their great-grandparents before the era of air travel. So why is the revival of this railway so significant? I'm Afzal Ahmed and this is Aloud. This show brings you articles made for audio. In this episode, we've adapted the piece Why the Revival of the Ottoman-era Hejaz Railway Matters for Turkey, Syria and Jordan, published by Esra Karataş Alpay on September the 27th, 2025. At a tripartite technical meeting of the transport ministries in Amman in September 2025, officials from Turkey, Syria and Jordan took the first concrete steps towards restoring the historic line. When fully revived, the railway will link the three countries and Saudi Arabia. Turkey's Transport Minister Abdülkadir Uraloğlu pledged to help Syria complete 30 kilometers of missing track, and Jordan will explore technical capacity for locomotive maintenance and even the potential of running its historic engines as far as Damascus. Officials and experts say it's a chance for economic revival, regional stability, and reconciliation after years of conflict in the region, particularly the end of the civil war in Syria.
The revival of the Hejaz Railway is one of the great significance for the region. Actually, it is one of the big projects that has been taken concrete form within the Turkey's broader efforts over the past 3 years, both in the fight against the terrorism and advancing the development goals. For decades, the areas traversed by the Hejaz Railway were crippled by the conflict, unfortunately. And yet, with the Syria is now entering a period of the stabilization, the prospect of the reviving and linking with the Iraq, Syria, Turkey, the broader region has become both feasible and deeply significant in near future.
That's Shuay Nilhan Açıkalan, Associate Professor of International Relations at Hacı Bayram Veli University in Ankara. Açıkalan also says it goes hand in hand alongside other regional mega-projects, like Turkey's development road with Iraq, nicknamed the Iraqi Silk Road, and the proposed northern corridor through Zangezur that will connect mainland Azerbaijan to its exclave, the Nakhchivan Autonomous Republic. This will form part of a multi-dimensional push for growth, peace and influence. The Amman meeting also drafted a memorandum of understanding to deepen transport cooperation across road, rail and logistics corridors. One immediate breakthrough is a resumption of road transport between Turkey and Jordan via Syria, ending a 13-year suspension. And another significant development, a direct land connection between Turkey and Jordan's Aqaba port on the Red Sea, which could open many opportunities, according to Professor Oktay Firat Tanrisever, an international relations scholar from the Middle East Technical University in Ankara.
Restoring and modernizing the historic line, particularly the Syria-Jordan connection, would reopen a vital trade corridor between Turkey and the Red Sea. Turkey could greatly expand its trade with Saudi Arabia and the Horn of Africa, delivering goods more quickly, reliably, and cost-effectively. For Syria, this would create new trade routes and boost overall commerce among the regional states.
So why and how was the Hejaz Railway conceptualized? It was built between 1900 and 1908 under Ottoman Sultan Abdülhamid II and part funded with donations from across the Muslim world, from Russia to Indonesia to South Africa to Egypt. It was a project of faith and solidarity, uniting Muslims under a shared vision of connection. Its primary function was to ease travel and provide a safer route for pilgrims to Medina and Mecca, but it also transported trade goods, knowledge and culture. Communities along its path flourished, markets expanded, and the line became a living thread that connected the Muslim world. By the time it was completed, the railway stretched about 1,320 kilometers, starting in Damascus, then to Amman and onwards to Medina. It also connected to Istanbul and Jerusalem through other connecting lines. According to historic estimates, it slashed a pilgrimage for a 50-day-long caravan journey from Istanbul to Medina to about only 7 days by train. In an extraordinary gesture of reverence, it's documented that Sultan Abdulhamid II himself ordered that felt be placed beneath the rails near Medina to muffle the sound of trains as they approached the resting place of Prophet Muhammad. But its glory days were short-lived. During World War I, the line that had become a strategic lifeline became a target. It carried civilians and Ottoman soldiers to the front lines in the region. But Arab rebels backed by the British officer T.E. Lawrence, better known as Lawrence of Arabia, sabotaged its tracks and blew up trains to weaken Ottoman control. These raids crippled the line. In a bid to protect sacred relics such as the Prophet Muhammad's cloak, sword, sandals and beard fragments, as well as relics of his companions, the Ottomans evacuated them to Istanbul using the train line. After the war, shifting borders and new conflicts further broke it apart. Most sections ceased operations after World War I, though some local segments continued sporadically until the 1970s. Stations started to become relics, and the locomotives turned into museum pieces. Today, a restored Hejaz line could once again serve Hajj and Umrah pilgrims, reconnecting modern journeys with their historic roots. Of course, air travel has transformed and made pilgrimage so easy. A flight from Istanbul to Medina takes only about 4 hours. But many pilgrims say something was lost. The sense of spiritual progression, of landscapes, mountains, deserts and ancient towns slowly unfolding, of anticipation building with each passing mile. A century ago, someone may have dreamt of riding this very line to reach the holy cities. Now their descendants could once again travel by rail to Medina, retracing the same journey, this time faster, more comfortable, but with the same spirit. The Hejaz Railway revival isn't happening in isolation. Around the world, railways are being rediscovered as tools of geopolitics and soft power. China's Belt and Road Initiative has built lines from Eastern Asia to Western Europe. India is promoting new rail links in South Asia. Europe is extending its freight corridors eastward. The Hejaz Railway, once sabotaged by war, now joins this new century of rail diplomacy, where steel tracks redraw maps of influence, trade, cooperation, and history. That's all for this episode of Aloud, based on the article Why the Revival of the Ottoman-era Hejaz Railway Matters for Turkey, Syria and Jordan, published on TRT World on September the 27th, 2025. I'm your host, Afzal Ahmed. Thanks for listening.